Okay, this will be NeXT Intellect, Module 3, Lesson 3, Role-Based Prompting, using roles to guide AI behavior. For the pathway overview, in this lesson you will learn how to use roles to guide AI behavior and output. By assigning a role to an AI assistant, such as marketing expert, customer support agent, or data analyst, you can shape how it responds to your questions and tasks. Role-based prompting is a practical technique used across all industries to get more accurate, professional, and job-relevant results from AI tools. Workforce targets define role-based prompting and explain why it improves AI responses. Identify and assign appropriate roles for different workplace tasks. Write prompts that include a clear role statement. Adjust tone and perspective based on the assigned role. Apply role-based prompting to real-world marketing, admin, and support scenarios. Evaluate how different roles produce different outputs for the same question. Key vocabulary for the lesson: role, prompt, tone, perspective, context, persona, output, clarification. So for the live build, if we were to think of a job that we would like to have someday, or maybe it's a current job you have, and on thinking of what that person does every day to get either their title for a role, if you were going to give it a specific role that would, maybe it's not just a teacher, we're thinking of somebody that's a nationally board certified teacher. And then more specifically, is this language arts? What subject? Which age group? And then experience this person has. How long has this person been teaching? So all these are culminating into building this role. So if you were going to ask an AI something like, how could I improve my resume? What kind of answer would you want? Would you want friendly advice or formal feedback? Okay. So if you're just asking it to improve a resume and you give it to it, AI sometimes, without giving how you want it to respond to you, I've noticed that it sometimes can be a little too fair and gracious to you when something really needs more tweaking. You don't want it to tell you something's good when it's not good enough. So if you're telling it to take on the role of a hiring manager in the field that you're applying for, that sees resumes day in and day out, and you want to be able to critique a resume for what's not good enough, but also give feedback on things that stand out amongst the crowd, then that would be much better. So the role definitely would change it. The hiring manager versus if you were just saying that this was a friend looking over your resume, or if you were saying that it was a hiring manager at a tech company, but your resume is actually for a job in like a law firm. So the role would be dependent that you want it to place also by industry. This also shows you just like people explain things differently based on the roles, who they are, personality. That's how we could get something to be created or explained to us by AI, by having it take on or assume these roles. Okay. Even if it was the example for students getting to use, going through like a novel unit, and say if they're reading something like Hatchet by Gary Paulson, and being able to have a role created that's a similar age to them, that's able to respond to things about the novel and maybe in ways that connect to some things that are going on in today and within their own culture. That would be good insight for it to have, to be able to connect students to what they know, and that could be a beneficial tool for the teacher to use AI in that way, because they might not be able to connect without the AI insight that it can make. Hatchet to today and things that change amongst what is popular with teens in that location at that given moment. Today you will learn how to assign roles to AI to guide its responses. We will explore how telling an AI to act as a marketing expert or a data analyst changes the quality and style of its output. By the end of this lesson, you will be able to write prompts that use roles to get better results for your work. So what is role-based prompting? You're telling the AI to take on a role. So like a job that it has that maybe it's been doing for 10, 15 plus years. Taking on a perspective. Okay, is this like a wise old sage in this subject matter? Before you ask your question, you're asking it to take on this role. So instead of just asking, you could set it up by saying, note that you are is a good way to tell it the role. Just treat it like you're talking to a person. You are blank, okay? You are a marketing manager. How should we promote this product? Okay. The role acts like a filter that shapes how the AI thinks and responds to you. Now, note in this example, the AI is not going to know if this wasn't in the previous chat what the product is that you have given it something more specific there, the title, and maybe you have pictures to upload of what it looks like and all the details of it. This technique makes AI output more focused, professional, and relevant to your actual job needs. Why roles matter? Different jobs require different ways of thinking. A customer support agent communicates differently than a financial analyst. When you assign a role, the AI adjusts its vocabulary, so maybe it's using industry-specific language or jargon, tone to fit the role, and focus to match that job. This means you get responses that sound professional, include relevant details, and match what you actually need at work. Roles save you time because you do not have to rewrite or edit the output as much. Roles in marketing. In marketing, you might assign the AI the role of social media strategist, copywriter, or brand manager. Each role produces different output for the same task. For example, a copywriter might focus on catchy headlines and emotion, while a brand manager might focus on consistency and company values. Using the right role helps you create content that matches your marketing goals and audience. Roles in administrative roles and support. Admin and support roles include telling it to take on the role of an office manager, a customer support specialist, or a HR coordinator. These roles help the AI provide practical, organized, and people-focused responses. For example, asking an AI to act as a customer support specialist will make it respond with patience, empathy, and helpful solutions. An office manager role makes it focus on efficiency, scheduling, and problem solving. So the anatomy of a role-based prompt has its three parts: the role statement, context, and task. So you start with that you are a or act as a. So you are a insert job title or act as a language arts teacher. What is that professional role? Then add background information so the AI understands the situation. Finally, ask your specific question or request. For example, you are a customer support manager. Our customers complain about slow email responses. How can we improve response time? This structure guides the AI more clearly. Tone and perspective in roles. Each role comes with an expected tone and perspective. A lawyer uses formal, careful language. A social media manager might use more casual language, more engaging language. A data analyst uses objective, numbers-focused language. When you choose a role, the AI automatically adjusts its tone and perspective to match. But you can also specify that tone by saying, is this in a friendly tone, more informal, or is this using professional, formal language? Now, same question, different roles. So imagine if you asked, what should we do about a customer complaint? Well, based on the role, we might say a customer support specialist, they would focus on resolving the customer's problem quickly and fairly, while the legal advisor role might focus on company liability and protection. A marketing manager focuses on brand reputation and customer retention. So the same question could be completely different when it comes to answers based on the role assigned. This shows why it's important to pick the right role for getting the useful output that you're looking for. So some common role-based prompting mistakes. Do not use vague roles like just saying you are an expert in, say archaeology, or you are a helper at teaching me this, when you could give it a more specific um, title. Okay, so I mean, if you were going to do that, say you are an Egyptologist or an archaeologist, and then more specifically in the area that you're looking at, and is this they know everything about mummification and everything, and then the audience are they explaining it to you as a high school student in a group, or is this a young adult, and any context that it needs. So some examples would be, for a job, you could give the exact titles that maybe you find on, say, Indeed, for real job titles that are current, like a UX designer, email campaign manager, or HR recruiter. Do not forget to add the context, because the AI needs to know what industry, company size, or customer type you work with. Do not assume that one role works for all tasks. A marketing role is different than a sales role, and each one produces different results. Always test your prompt and adjust the role if the output does not match what you need. Summary and next steps. Role-based prompting is a simple but powerful technique that improves AI output quality. By assigning clear roles, adding context, and being specific about your task, you can get professional, relevant responses that save you time. In the next section, you will practice writing role-based prompts for marketing, admin, and support tasks. You'll see firsthand how roles shape AI behavior. So you would go to your AI tool of choice, ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini, one of the ones that you've been using thus far, and in the text box type the following prompt. You would type, you are an email marketing manager for a clothing brand. We sell sustainable fashion to young professionals. Write a short promotional email for a new product launch. Then press enter or click send, and then check the output and note the tone, vocabulary, and focus the AI uses. Then we'll type a new prompt, but we'll start with the first one. I have Gemini open. So we were putting in there, you are an email marketing manager for a clothing brand. Okay, so we have a subject line here. So we do have this promotional email. You make sure that it is for our clothing brand, and some of the notes that we have about it, that it's sustainable and our audience are young professionals, and it should be relatively short. Okay, so our subject, meet your new 9 to 5 and 5 to 9 essential. So 9 to 5, playing off these young professionals working and they need this clothing. We have an emoji there to help us see the sustainability aspect. Hi, okay. As a young professional, your wardrobe needs to work as hard as you do without costing the planet. We are thrilled to introduce our latest arrival. Well, we didn't give it a name for this clothing brand and the specific like launch, whatever. So this helps us generate some ideas, because it went ahead and said the 24/7 capsule blazer, crafted entirely from certified organic linen. So it came up with the details of this material, wrinkle resistant. Okay, why you'll love it. Elevate your workwear with conscious style. Shop the new launch, beginning to put your name in, brand company, if they could subscribe, and things like that. But now we enter in, you are a creative copywriter for social media. We sell sustainable fashion to young professionals. Write a short promotional message for a new product launch. Okay, I'm just going to add that below here. Now notice, since I didn't create a new chat and we didn't tell it if we didn't like the idea or not, so it's like a different role, but it's keeping these details of our product in there. I see the 24/7. Okay, kept the 9 to 5. Meet that blazer designed for the modern grind, crafted for a cleaner planet. And we have our hashtags in there. Okay, that's where we could say if we want this to remove the bulleted section, if it needs to be a certain word length to be even shorter, and if this is fitting for different social media, for if it's on Instagram, or is this something for TikTok, or is this for Facebook? So it seemed for social media one, the second one gave us those hashtags and things like that, because that was and more on the fun side too, because it was the creative team member marketer. Um, the first role was, so we look at that, email marketing manager, so just writing these professional emails that are for certain campaigns here. And so it changed based on who that roles was, and how they went about doing it. Looks like we're nice on the shorter length with the second one compared to the first one. And then you could do a follow-up prompt for that same company, or start a new chat. And now, knowing that knowledge, say you are a customer support specialist, and if you want to say it's for that clothing company, and maybe there's a scenario that had come up. Okay, or if you're wanting to follow this example, explain why our sustainable fashion products are worth the higher price. Read this output and note how the perspective and language shifted again now as the customer support specialist. And then noting what was different from each role, how that affected the output. Then your lab, using that example, choose one of the following job scenarios and write down a real task you would do in that job. Open the same AI tool you used before and write your first prompt without a role. Just ask the question directly and submit it, and copy the response into the document. Now write a prompt with a role statement. Start with "you are blank." Add context about your company or industry if you can, and submit this prompt and copy the result. Compare the outputs. Write down differences that you note in tone, vocabulary, or focus. Try assigning a different role to the same task. For example, if you chose support agent, try manager or trainer. Submit this third version and note how the perspective changed. And then in your document, write a short paragraph explaining which role produced the best output and why. That would lead you to your portfolio artifact. We have common problems with their solutions that you might face in the lesson. Be sure to read through the best practice in each slide section. And to complete your reflection journal, that completes Module 3, Lesson 3.